The love story beneath the noise. Current status. 5 months have passed since Israel and the United States began their campaign against Iran's nuclear and military infrastructure, and the ripples have been felt in a dozen different countries. And Iran's retaliation has impacted not just Israel, but Jordan, Iraq, the Gulf states, and more. It has been, by any measure, long and exhausting. Sirens, shelters, munitions counted in the billions of dollars, and casualty counts being added to on a daily basis. This week has brought another pause. Iran has stopped what they call retaliatory strikes. The U.S. has paused its bombing. President Trump states again that with the two sides in talks, good things can happen. On Tuesday, the 28th of July, Trump and Netanyahu sat down together for the first time since the war began, something no one thought likely just a couple of weeks ago. Of course, no one knows yet if this is a ceasefire or just another Iranian stall or just a temporary pause in hostilities. As we've already seen, diplomacy in this region has a long history of collapsing just as quickly as it is established. But for the moment, the missiles are quiet, which affords an opportunity to ruminate on the facts as they are. A chance to take a step back. It's natural in a season like this to measure everything by the current news cycle. Which recent explosion was the most successful, what talks might hold, or whose strategy seems the most apt to work the best. And while those things do matter, they are not the only lens available for the observer, and I would argue not even the most crucial one. Underneath the headlines about strikes and pauses and diplomacy sits a much older story, one that isn't only about this war in particular, but about a pattern that keeps reasserting itself across thousands of years. A people scattered, estranged, and then brought home anyway, not because the return was deserved or earned, but because it was promised. This pattern shows up nowhere more vividly than in the book of Hosea, in a story most readers just skim past because it's, well, uncomfortable. This pause is a perfect opportunity for a quick review of the story that's working out exactly as it was prophesied thousands of years ago. There's a story near the beginning of the book of Hosea that's strange enough that people tend to skip past it. God tells the prophet to marry a woman named Gomer, a prostitute, whom God already knows will be unfaithful to Hosea. This isn't meant as a punishment for Hosea, but rather a message. Hosea's marriage is a sermon. His life becomes the illustrated sermon that would be played out down through years and years for the world to witness. Today, I want us to sit with that story for a minute, as awkward as it is, because I believe it is still being lived out, quite literally, in the movement of Jewish families moving back to the land of Israel. A marriage no one would choose. Hosea 1:2 opens with God's instruction to Hosea, "Go marry a wife of whoredoms, because the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord." Gomer isn't a metaphor invented later by commentators. She's a real woman, and the children she bears are named specifically by God with Hebrew names that are themselves prophecies. Jezreel, God scatters. Lo Ruhumah, no, not loved. Lo Ami, not my people. If one reads these three names sequentially, they represent the whole story of the exile in miniature: scattered, unloved, disowned. Then Gomer leaves Hosea. She goes after other lovers. She ends up by Hosea 3 in a position where Hosea has to buy her back. The text says for 15 pieces of silver and for an homer of barley and an half homer of barley. 3:2. The price of a slave, not a wife. He redeems her who left him of her own free will. From Lo Ami, not my people, to Ami, my people. Here's the amazing part of the story. Hosea 1:10 says that in the very place where it is said, Ye are not my people, it will be said, Ye are the sons of the living God. Notice the name changes. Lo Ami becomes Ami, my people. Lo Ruhumah becomes Ruhamah, loved. This is not some literary presentation. This is the structure of the whole book. Estrangement named specifically so that its reversal can be named just as precisely. Today's picture of this prophecy. It's obvious to me that the modern Aliyah, the return of Jewish families to Israel from over 100 different countries over the past century, is a visible chapter of that reversal being played out before our eyes. Families who left Yemen with nothing, communities that were airlifted out of Ethiopia in the 80s and 90s, walking for weeks just to reach a plane. Soviet Jews who spent decades as refuseniks were denied exit visas to immigrate to Israel, often for decades, and were maligned with this name, often losing their jobs and social standing the moment they applied for it, all because of their ethnicity. And more recently, French Jewish families leaving after a rise in anti-Semitic violence, and Ukrainian Jews arriving mid-war with almost nothing but their names. In fact, startling reports show that the U.S. has become part of this statistical narrative. Aliyah from the U.S. has jumped by up to 30% year over year over the last few years. A striking 69% of all religion-based hate crimes reported to the FBI in 2024 targeted Jews, who make up just 2% of the U.S. population. Beyond that, combined Aliyah from Western Europe and Americas now rivals immigration totals from the former Soviet republics, a genuinely significant shift since Russia has been the largest single source of Olim, immigrants, every year since the 1990s. And every one of those is, in its own way, a not my people story becoming a my people story. Lo Ami to Ami, a scattering being gathered back in. Additionally, Hosea 1:11 puts Judah and Israel's children together. Quote, and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land. Quote. Aliyah isn't one ethnic group returning from one place. It's Jews from Yemen, from Jews from Poland, and Jews from Ethiopia, and Jews from Argentina, and now even from the traditionally safe harbor of the U.S., all converging on the same small strip of land under what functions at the time of this writing as one head. A wilderness which precedes the wedding. Hosea 2:14 has God saying he will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. The journey would not be straight from unfaithfulness to restoration, but through a wilderness first. Aliyah, the Jewish term for the return, fits this aspect of Hosea as well. Stories chronicling the process make clear it's rarely simple. Ulpan classes in a language you don't yet speak, bureaucracy and economic hardship throughout the first years are common parts of the stories. Leaving behind parents, careers, everything familiar reveal that the wilderness isn't just a metaphor easily forgotten by the people who have lived it. It's the whole first chapter of their story in the land. In the same passage, the promise, I will give her vineyards from thence and the valley of Achor for a door of hope, 2:15, carries meaning too. Achor means trouble. The valley named after trouble becomes the entryway into hope. That's a strange way to word the promise, not trouble avoided, but trouble repurposed into an entrance. Not just returned, betrothed. I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the Lord. Hosea 2:19 and 20. These may be some of the most striking verses of this book. Betrothal, not just reconciliation, constitutes much more than just a welcome back. This is more like, let's start this marriage relationship over. This doesn't translate into our culture the same way as it did in theirs. Betrothal was as binding then as a marriage is to us now, perhaps even more. If Aliyah is a physical homecoming, this text suggests it's something more. This is to be more than just a geographical changes, but a relationship being renegotiated and then made permanent. Why does Hosea's marriage matter today? This passage is differentiated from other straightforward prophecies in that it isn't just words. Hosea had to live it out. He had to actually go find Gomer, actually pay for her, actually bring her home, knowing the whole time what she had done. The love isn't abstract in this book. It's a man doing something costly and public and more than a little embarrassing, because that's what the message required. This is worth keeping in mind when we talk about return and restoration in the present tense. It's costly here too, for the families who leave everything, for the country absorbing wave after wave of newcomers, and for a story that keeps demanding to be lived rather than just quoted. Lo ami becoming ami isn't finished like a sentence in a book. Every family stepping off a plane at Ben Gurion with everything they own in a few suitcases is this very prophecy still being written in real time. It's our story too. Here's what should not be missed. The same God that pursued Gomer, that pursued a scattered and estranged people across continents and centuries of exile, is the same God that has held the door open for the rest of us in this church age we're still living in. God, portrayed by Hosea, went and found the unfaithful one and paid the price to bring her home. That's not just Israel's story. That's the gospel, acted out in advance, centuries before a cross ever stood on a hill outside Jerusalem. Because the truth is, none of us come to God with clean hands. We're all Gomer in one way or another, wandered off chasing lesser loves, worth redeeming only because someone decided we were worth the price. And the price this time wasn't silver and barley. It was Jesus Christ himself, who went to that cross willingly, who paid what we could never pay, so that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. If you've never said yes to that invitation, if you've never simply told God that you know you need what Christ did on the cross and you're willing to receive it, I would invite you to do that today. Not because you deserve it. Gomer didn't either. That's the whole point. Grace has always been the only terms. And so, you too can respond to the Hebraic wedding betrothal Christ extended to us as recorded in the book of John. And with those words, I close this month's article. John 14:2. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. That offer hasn't expired. It's still open right now to you. To borrow Aliyah's own invitation, Bo Haibata, come home.